Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Um, Today we're going kind of sideways, I guess you could say, from just Elvis Presley's hits
Hmm.
and looking more at the man himself
The average man.
through a very specific source.
Mm.
And that is the book Once Upon a Time, Elvis and Anita.
Yeah, a memoir.
Exactly. It's written by Janita Brewer Barrett, who is the daughter of Anita Wood.
Yeah.
And really, the focus of this book is that period between 1957 and 62 when Elvis and Anita were a couple.
Mhm.
And so we're not going to go a whole lot beyond that time frame today. We're really
Yeah.
just zeroing in on that.
It's a very specific snapshot
Yeah.
of his life and of her life, of course, too.
Yeah, and of course, it's a story of young love and fame and all the complexities that come with both.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think it's really interesting to sort of set the scene by talking about Anita's early life first.
Okay.
Because, she had a very strict upbringing
Right.
in a small town.
Small town Southern girl.
But she had this natural talent for singing and performing.
Hmm. And, in a way, it kind of foreshadows her own brush with fame.
Yeah, she had a bit of a taste of that early on.
Yeah.
Her mom was very strict, but did encourage her to sing and to, express her artistic talents.
Right.
And she actually won a talent contest
Oh, wow.
that took her to New York City.
That's amazing.
And she actually worked in radio for a while.
So she already kind of knew that world a little bit?
Yeah, she had a taste of it.
Yeah.
And then imagine you're a young woman
Okay.
hosting a local TV show in Memphis.
Right.
And suddenly Elvis Presley, who's already a rising star,
Hmm.
asks you out.
I know. I mean, can you imagine?
It's pretty remarkable.
Right.
It wasn't quite that simple, though.
Oh, really?
The book actually talks about how Elvis had his entourage approach her.
Oh, so he didn't go up to her himself?
He didn't go himself. Maybe he was a little shy. Who knows?
I know. That's funny to think about.
Yeah.
But, he was already Elvis.
He was already Elvis.
Yeah.
And I think it's also interesting that Anita and her mother both had doubts initially.
Her mother was very protective,
Makes sense?
so there was some reluctance there.
Sure.
But ultimately, Elvis won them over.
And how could he not?
Right. Well, he had that charm,
Yeah.
that charisma. He was Elvis.
Yeah. It's hard to say no.
And I also think it's really telling that he made such an effort with her mother,
Yeah.
who they called Mama.
Mama.
Right. And despite his fame, he, wanted to show that respect and be genuine.
Yeah, he wanted to make a good impression, not just on Anita, but on her mother as well.
Yeah. I mean, their first date sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah, it does.
Like Elvis picking her up at her mom's house in his pink Cadillac.
In his Cadillac.
Right. And then they went for hamburgers at Graceland.
Simple hamburger dinner.
Yeah.
At Graceland.
And he introduced her to his parents.
Yeah.
What stands out to you about that first encounter?
You know what really stood out to me is how down to earth he seemed.
He was already famous,
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't putting on airs.
Right.
He was just trying to be himself.
It is endearing. I mean, he was trying to make a good impression.
Absolutely.
And she obviously fell for him hard and fast.
Yeah, she did.
And then they started spending a lot of time together at Graceland, riding his motorcycle, going to the movies,
Mhm.
having dates at Chanel's, which is this famous restaurant in Memphis.
Yeah, kind of a fancy place.
Yeah.
But also, down home cooking.
Yeah. It really paints a picture of this normal relationship amidst this extraordinary life.
Yeah, and the book really captures those moments, those
Yeah.
shared moments of laughter and inside jokes. And, Elvis had these affectionate nicknames for her, like Satinin, and he would pinch her nose. Just these little details that show the genuine affection
Yeah.
and playfulness.
Yeah, it's like those small moments that really make a relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But there were also glimpses even early on of Elvis's possessiveness and jealousy,
Yeah, that's true.
which I guess you could say is kind of foreshadowing some of the challenges that their relationship would face.
Yeah. And it's important to keep in mind the context of the time.
Yeah.
But this possessiveness does become a recurring theme.
Right.
It was a part of his personality for sure.
Yeah. And then, of course, came 1958,
Mm-hmm.
which was this really pivotal year for them both because Elvis got drafted.
Yeah, that was a shock.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't even imagine what that must have been like for his mother, Gladys.
Yeah, she confided in Anita a lot
Oh, really?
during that time,
Wow.
revealing her anxieties about his future.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And I think she saw Anita as kind of a stabilizing force
Oh, interesting.
in his life,
Mm-hmm.
especially, after they lost his father a few years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
She was very protective of him,
Yeah.
very concerned for him.
Yeah, I mean, he was her only child.
He was her world.
Yeah,
So you can imagine how difficult that separation must have been for both of them.
right. And it also says a lot that she felt so comfortable confiding in Anita.
It does. It speaks to the bond that they had developed.
Yeah, I mean, that separation must have been incredibly difficult for Elvis and Anita, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it lasted almost 2 years.
Wow.
But, he wrote her letters and called her from Germany.
Really?
Yeah. And those letters are so revealing.
What do they say?
Well, they show a vulnerability that he rarely showed in public.
Interesting.
One letter he writes, "Little, if you only knew how I feel about you and how much I miss you." His longing for her is so palpable.
Yeah, I mean, that's a side of him you don't really see in his public persona.
Exactly. He was
Yeah.
really opening up to her.
Wow. And then when he came back in 1960, their reunion was joyous, I'm sure.
Oh, it was a huge celebration.
Yeah.
And he showered her with gifts.
Like what?
He gave her a pink car,
Yeah.
a portrait of her, and most significantly, a diamond ring.
Ooh, a diamond ring.
Yeah.
So it seems like that time apart really, maybe solidified some things for them.
Yeah, it seemed to strengthen their bond.
Right. Like he was really serious about her. But then, cracks began to appear.
As his fame just exploded.
Right.
Yeah, his life got really chaotic.
Right. Like Elvis was Elvis at that point.
He was Elvis.
Yeah.
And Colonel Parker's influence was growing stronger, too.
Right. And Colonel Parker was his manager.
His manager.
Yeah.
And very controlling.
Yeah. So at this point, we're really starting to see the pressures of that celebrity lifestyle impact their relationship.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if love can truly survive under that kind of scrutiny.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And Colonel Parker was really all about business.
Yeah, he was a shrewd businessman.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't always prioritize Elvis's personal life.
Right. So it's like, was he trying to protect Elvis's image?
Right.
Or was he actively trying to keep him and Anita apart?
It's hard to say. What's clear is that he had a lot of control over Elvis's career.
Right.
And that definitely had an impact on his relationship with Anita.
Definitely. And then there's the introduction of Dee Stanley into Elvis's life, which obviously, created some tension.
Yeah. Especially with Anita's mother.
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable. She saw, kind of the dark side of fame.
Right.
And probably just wanted to protect her daughter.
Yeah.
From getting hurt.
Yeah.
But, meanwhile, Anita's actually, building her own career. She's recording songs like I'm Liking This and making appearances on TV shows like The Andy Williams Show.
Yeah. It's important to remember that, she was talented.
Yeah.
In her own right.
Right.
And she was pursuing her dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Even as Elvis's star continued to rise?
Yeah, I mean, it's like they were both on these parallel tracks.
Yeah, in a way.
In a way.
Yeah.
But then they went to Hollywood together.
Right.
During the filming of Flaming Star.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this incident on the set of Wild in the Country that really kind of stands out.
Oh, yeah.
Like Elvis got really angry because Anita wasn't waiting for him in his dressing room.
Yeah, it was like his possessiveness just boiled over in that moment.
And it's like you really see this darker side to him.
Yeah, I was
like how fame and maybe his own insecurities just kind of combined to really damage the relationship.
It's a reminder that, fame doesn't make you immune to these kinds of emotions.
Yeah, it's like it almost amplifies them, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I guess that's really kind of the beginning of the end for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's sad.
It is sad.
You kind of root for them.
I know.
But it's a classic tale of star-crossed lovers, I guess.
Yeah.
The demands of his career, the media scrutiny, his own personal struggles, it all contributed.
And Colonel Parker lurking in the background.
Yeah, orchestrating everything.
Right.
It's hard to know what his true motives were.
Right. Was he trying to protect Elvis? Or was he just trying to control him?
Some people say he saw Anita as a threat.
Really?
Yeah, like she was a distraction
Interesting.
from Elvis's career.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah, but while Elvis was stationed in Germany, he met Priscilla Beaulieu.
Right.
And it's heartbreaking because, Anita had her own dreams and her own career. But in the end, it's like she had to choose.
Love or career.
Yeah, and it's a choice a lot of people face.
Especially when one person is in the spotlight like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to find balance.
Right.
In that situation.
So Elvis and Priscilla ended up getting married in 1967. And Anita went on to marry a football player.
Yeah, she did.
So,
Right.
what can we really learn from Anita's story?
Well, I think it reminds us that even the most famous people were human.
Yeah.
They have the same emotions, the same
Mhm.
desires, the same capacity for love and heartbreak as everyone else.
Right. It's like we put them on this pedestal
Yeah,
and forget that they're just people just
absolutely.
trying to figure things out.
And Anita's story also shows the enduring power of love. You know,
Yeah.
even though their relationship ended,
Mm-hmm.
the memories, the letters, the moments they shared reveal a love that was real and intense.
Right. Even if it wasn't meant to last.
Exactly.
And I think it's really interesting that those letters, they provide such a unique glimpse into Elvis's
Well, they
personality.
do too. You see
Oh,
his tenderness,
right.
his vulnerability, his longing for connection.
Yeah.
It's both heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time.
Yeah. Because, one letter he talks about how frustrating it is to have
Mhm.
all this attention from fans and the press.
He says, I can't go anywhere without someone staring.
Yeah.
It's like he craved a normal life
Right.
away from all the chaos.
And then in his letters to Anita, he's so affectionate,
Oh, yeah.
calling her by these sweet nicknames and just declaring his love.
Yeah, you can really feel the depth of his feelings
Hmm.
in those letters.
Yeah. It's like he really wanted a future with her.
He did. He even talks about marriage.
Really?
Yeah. He says, I want you to be my wife.
Wow.
I've never been in love before, but I'm in love with you.
So it's like this Shakespearean tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is
Two young people
deeply in love.
torn apart by forces beyond their control.
It's a classic story.
It is.
But, it's also a testament to Anita's strength
Yeah.
and resilience.
Right.
She never seemed to resent Elvis for
Mhm.
his fame or the way things ended.
She always spoke fondly of him.
Yeah, she did.
And her daughter Janita writing this memoir, it's
Yeah.
really an act of love and courage.
It is. It's a beautiful tribute
It is.
to her mother
Yeah.
and to their relationship.
So we've talked a lot about the romance and the heartbreak. But I'm curious, what stands out to you as the most important takeaway from Anita's story?
I think it's that reminder that even icons are human.
Yeah.
They experience the same emotions, the same longing for connection, the same heartbreak as everyone else.
Right.
Fame might amplify those experiences,
Right.
but it doesn't erase them.
And it definitely doesn't guarantee happiness.
No, not at all.
No.
It's those genuine connections.
Right.
Those moments of shared humanity that really matter.
And the book also really highlights Gladys Presley's concern for Elvis.
Yes.
And her anxieties about his future.
Mhm.
And, she confided in Anita
She did.
and really saw her as the stabilizing presence,
Yeah.
which I think speaks volumes about Anita's character.
It does. It really shows the positive impact she had on both Elvis and his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And even though their romantic relationship ended,
Right.
Anita maintained a relationship with the Presleys.
Really?
Yeah, she even attended Gladys's funeral
Wow.
and comforted Elvis during that difficult time.
That's incredible.
It is.
And it shows a lot of empathy
It does.
on her part. I mean, it would have been easy to just, walk away and harbor all this resentment.
Absolutely.
But she chose compassion and understanding.
She did. It's a
Big-
powerful lesson
It is.
that we can all learn from.
Yeah, about forgiveness and resilience
Mm-hmm.
and, cherishing the positive aspects of a relationship even when it ends.
Yeah, even if it doesn't last forever.
Exactly. And her daughter, Janita, carrying on that legacy
Yeah,
by sharing this really intimate story is remarkable.
it is. It's a gift.
Yeah. This book, Once Upon a Time, Elvis and Anita, offers such a unique and intimate glimpse
It does.
into Elvis's life.
Yeah, it humanizes him.
It does.
You see his vulnerability, his longing for a normal life,
Right.
his genuine affection for Ada.
And I think that's something you don't always get
No, you
from the typical Elvis biography.
No, it's a very different perspective.
Yeah.
Strips away the glitz and the glamour,
Yeah.
and you see the man beneath the myth.
It's a good reminder that even kings have hearts
You do.
and that fame and fortune don't always lead to fulfillment.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most powerful love stories are the ones that burn brightly but briefly
Yeah.
and leave a lasting impact.
Right.
Maybe that's what makes Elvis and Anita's story so compelling.
It really makes you wonder, what if they'd met at a different time, in a different world? Would their love story have had a different ending?
It's impossible to know.
Yeah.
But even though their relationship ended,
Mm-hmm.
the intensity of their connection, the shared journey, the impact they had on each other's lives is undeniable.
Right. And maybe that's enough.
Maybe it is.
It's a reminder that love in all its forms has the power to shape us to change us, to leave a mark on our hearts.
Absolutely. And Anita's story, as shared through her daughter's memoir, is a testament to that enduring power.
Yeah.
It's a story of love, loss, resilience, and the human side of a legend.
And I think it's a story that will stay with our listeners
I hope so.
long after this deep dive ends.
Me too.
So before we wrap up, I want to encourage everyone to explore more about Anita Wood.
Yes.
She was a talented singer and performer in her own right.
She was.
And her story is one of resilience and pursuing your passions, even when life throws you curveballs.
It's inspiring.
It is. So it's been a pleasure exploring this fascinating memoir with you.
Likewise.
And to all of our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Elvis and Anita.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you learned something new and that it's given you something to think about.
Absolutely.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.